Thank you everyone for joining. This is Javin Luthra from GSCS India Secretariat. Before we start, I'll just quickly read out the guidelines for today's webinar. We have kept everyone on mute. Hence, it's a request for all your inputs and queries. Please drop it in the chat box, and we'll have Jigna, who's going to pick up these questions to Dr. Sheetal, who is our speaker for today's session. We are also requesting all the participants to keep their videos on off mode to avoid any kind of latency. Thank you so much. Jigna, over to you. You can start when you like.
Right. Good morning, friends, and welcome to the seminar that has been arranged by Global Association of Corporate Services Gujarat chapter. Today we are going to talk about Ikigai, which is a Japanese concept that means a reason for being. And we today have our subject matter expert, Dr. Sheetal Nair. I'm sorry for the wrong name. Dr. Sheetal Nair is a human resource professional from more than a decade and an experienced in facilitating and training with organizations like Barclays, United Nations, Brentwood, GSFC, etc. He holds a doctorate in training and development from North Central University, Arizona. And he's a MBA from Symbiosis from International University. He also holds diploma in corporate law from IIM Kolkata. He's a published author, having to his credit an Amazon exclusive bestseller, The Midas Touch. So, he's a subject matter expert with Ikigai. He will let us know what is our reason for being. And with all this information and talk about Dr. Nair, I would like to welcome him and give us, enlighten us about Ikigai. Thank you very much. And as Jatin said, please post all your question and answers, questions into chat box, and we will have it addressed at the end of the session with Dr. Nair. Over to you, Dr. Nair. Thank you.
Thank you everyone. Good morning on a Saturday morning. I'm happy that so many people have joined in today to listen to me talk about something which I'm very passionate about, which is Ikigai. Now, before I begin and before I start the presentation, I just wanted to share something with you. There is a lot of difference when you talk about a concept and that concept has done things for people. And there's a lot of difference when you talk about a concept and that concept has changed your life. For me, Ikigai has changed me. To those of you who know about me and those of you who do not also, I would just like to share, I underwent 2 major accidents in my life. And in both the accidents, I was bedridden. And the best sort of companion that you have when you're bedridden, you have nothing to do, is reading. And that is when I discovered Albert and Hector Garcia's book, The Ikigai. And it got me thinking about life as it is, and it changed me from 121 kilo overweight individual to what I am today. Right? I have changed my personality and my life itself has changed. And when I say this to you, that this can bring about a change in you, trust me, it has brought a change in me. It will bring a change in you also. So I want all of you to listen to what I'm going to share in this session very carefully. The biggest difference that you have in this session and the other sessions that you listen about Ikigai is people talk only about Ikigai. Here, I'm going to share you 2 concepts. Concept number 1 is Ikigai. In this first part, we will talk about Ikigai, what Ikigai is, how you can derive your own Ikigai. And the second part would be how to amplify your Ikigai. I have done an amazing amount of research, and the second part of the session is something which I have claimed a derivative trademark on, which is known as Fubutsushi. So you will listen to this concept about Fubutsushi too. So without much further ado, I'll start sharing the screen of my presentation so that you can all look at it. And here it begins. So yeah, great. So today we all are joined help you all to amplify your Ikigai. So before I start off, I am a storyteller. That's something which I always do. So I'll start off with a very short story, which will help you understand the concept of Ikigai in a much better manner. Now, there was this very old lady. When I say very old, you can say like 50, 55 middle-aged lady. She was staying in a village in far, far Telangana. You know, Telangana is erstwhile Andhra Pradesh, split into two parts. And let us call her Meenamma, right? Now, Meenamma was basically the village sarpanch's wife. The village sarpanch was very strong, a very, very strong-willed leader. Meenamma was his wife. Meenamma used to run schools in the village. They had two schools, one till primary and one till 12th standard. And she was the one who used to whole and soul handle the school because she was educated and she felt that it was be a part of the school. Now, one fine day, Meenamma lied down on a bed and suddenly she realized that her soul is leaving her body. So she could see her body lying calmly on the bed while her soul arose and raised to heaven. Now, if you remember, there's this old Hindi movie wherein we have Asrani and Kader Khan playing Yamraj and Chitragupt. Remember Chitragupt from that? Now, imagine Chitragupt is sitting there with a huge register. The register has got all the details of what you have done good and what you have done bad. And based on the balance sheet of life, he would allow you to enter the gates of heaven. So Meenamma reached there. Meenamma reached that place, and once she reached there, she went and met Chitragupt. And she was, and waiting for Chitragupt to ask and tell her as to what she can do. Can she be a part of heaven or does she have to go to hell? Now, when she went to Chitragupt, the first question that he asked was, "Who are you?" I mean, that's okay. I mean, whenever we go somewhere, generally the question that is asked of us is who we are. So Meenamma just took her time and said, "I am Meenamma ka Akka Subramaniam from this village of Telangana." So Chitragupt just nodded his head and said, no, I am not interested in knowing your name. I am interested in knowing who you are. Like, that's like a big time shocker. What do you do? What do you think? I mean, someone asks you who you are bound to tell your name. You're bound to share your name. And that is what you're supposed to do. What else can you say? I mean, it was shocking. But Meenamma still, composed herself and replied to Chitragupt that, okay, I am Meenamma, wife of XYZ Sarpanch. I stay in this village. I have 3 sons, vagera, vagera, vagera. She just went on and jotted down all the data. Now Chitragupt was annoyed. He's like, look, woman, I'm asking you very specifically. All I'm interested in knowing is who you are. I do not care whose wife you are. I do not care how many sons or kids you have. I do not care which village you are from. Who are you? Oh, that was like shocking. I mean, Meenamma is like, in my entire life, that's the only thing I am. I am either my husband's wife or my kid's mother, or I am from this village. I am this, I am that. I do not know what I am now. What is this they're asking me? I mean, think about it. If someone asks you who you are, what will you say? You will tell your name and the place you're from. That's what you do. That's what she also did. Now, this interaction between Chitragupt and Meenamma went on, like, for hours and hours and hours. And finally, Chitragupt was like, look, this is the last time asking you. If you can answer, answer. Else you have to go and sit in the middle. So like between heaven and hell, you just wait there, think about your answer and come back. Because I have too many people to handle. Meenamma is like, okay, mine, man, I need to do one. Give her another shot at it. Now, it was asked of her, who are you? Meenamma said, I'm a lady from a village in the north part of Telangana. I run a school which molds the shape of youngsters so that they can achieve success in their lives in the future and make something of themselves. Chitragupt nodded, but he smiled. He said, okay, can you just make it a bit more simpler? Meenamma was like, wow. It was like, suddenly a person who's roaming around in desert gets a drop of water, watches or finds an oasis. Meena was like, okay, I think I'm on the right track. Let me rework. So she said, okay, I basically mold the lives of youngsters so that they can do something with their lives in the future. That's what I do. That is what I am. And Chitragupt smiled at her and he's like, okay, that is the correct answer. There you go. Now, there you go means basically Meenamma thought that she will enter heaven. But no, that did not happen. She was, again, when she woke up, she was on her bed, and she just woke up like that, and she realized, good Lord, was I dreaming or was this reality? Did this happen to me really? Now, it's a very interesting thing. And when we think about it, we all suffer from the similar sort of issue, right, in our lives. We are so many things. We do so many things in our life. A lot of you would be like getting up at probably 6, 7 in the morning, doing your daily routines, going to the office, working, and then you come back to your house, you talk to your wife, your kids, probably your friends about the way you're working, what's happening, talk about politics, how bad, how corrupt the politicians are, etc., 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 and your life goes on. Now, that is what your life has become. That is what the life of everyone has become. But take a deep breath and think about this yourself. Other than your work, other than your family, other than the people around you, can you define yourself? I have seen so many people going through this. They are like in really amazing positions in big PSUs or multinational companies. And the moment they retire, they have absolutely no idea what they want to do with their lives, because they have devoted their entire life to their organization. And there are people who devote their entire life to their families. The kids get married, they have their own lives, they start blaming their kids as to, good Lord, the kids do not care for me. That is stupid. That's wrong. See, you cannot base your life on someone else's life and then when they move on, blame them. It is your mistake. It is your fault because you have not defined your life correctly. So, the biggest instruction that I want to share with all of you is, when in my session, keep a pen and paper handy with you. And remember to note down whatever I ask you to note down, because there's a lot of exercises that we'll be going through. We will try to help you find your Ikigai also. So you need a pen and paper with you. A diary would be perfect. So now, when we talk about definitions, how would you define your life? You do not need to define it right now, but you need to define it. So write down in a piece of paper as to how you would define your life as. And let's move on. Now, technically, the concept of Ikigai is basically a word, it's a Japanese term, and these characters that you can see on the screen are basically known as kanjis. Kanjis are basically characters which make up the Japanese alphabet, right? Now, this Japanese kanji basically is defined into two parts. Iki, that means to be alive or life itself, and kai, that basically means the net effect or the result of living, or how do you use the fact that you're alive. And in totality, this basically means Ikigai as a reason for living. Now, before we understand the concept of Ikigai, there is another concept which I would like to share with you, which is known as the hedgehog concept. Now, I do not know how many of you have heard of this hedgehog concept, but I'll explain you a very brief thing. See, currently the industry is going through a big time recession. Everyone is aware of that. Now, this is not the first time that we are undergoing any sort of recession. This is a cyclical thing. This time it was Corona. 10 years ago, there was Goldman Sachs. Probably another 10 years ago, there was another big economic depression, probably caused due to our very own Harshad Mehta, I am assuming. Before 91, there was no, liberal economy. We were in license Raj. So there was a depression of another sorts, right? So we have undergone these changes n number of times. And trust me, human race is one of the most strongest race. Be proud of the fact that you're human beings. You're very resilient. You're very resilient to change, and that is the reason why you have evolved and you're still surviving and you're masters of this earth, right? Probably the nature is trying to tell you something else, but yet you still are the masters of earth. Now, we have undergone many number of depressions, and some time ago, like 15 or 20 years ago, in fact, more than 20 years ago, there was a big time depression, right? There was a huge economic crisis, and that is when the concept of hedgehog came. A hedgehog is a very small animal. I do not know if you know about it, and if at all you've seen that animal. Hedgehog is a very small animal, looks like a mouse. It has got thorns on itself, like a porcupine probably, right? So the moment someone attacks the hedgehog just gets its porcupine, those things, those sticks, those things out, and people or animals are not able to catch it, eat it, harm it in any manner. Now, a hedgehog has only one trick in its bag. It's a one-trick pony, as we call it. The hedgehog can only do one thing: get the thorns out. But while it gets the thorns out, it does that perfectly well, and that is why it is able to survive. But what happens in life is a lot of people like to do not become a hedgehog, like to become, let's say, fox. Fox is a highly cunning character. Now, if I was giving an example or an option wherein you had to choose between a fox and a hedgehog, you would have chosen what? You would have chosen that I want to be a fox. I want to be a hedgehog, man. It's like a small, tiny animal. I would not want to be that. And the other fact which sort of attracts us to the hedgehog, the fox, is the fact that it's wily and cunning. You hear a lot of these Jataka tales, or you see a lot of these stories that you hear, parables that you hear, and you hear them wherein the fox is supposed to be a very wily and cunning character, which is the fact. If you've seen that very famous cartoon, Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner. So you see the coyote trying to catch the roadrunner in n number of manners, n number of ways it's trying to capture the roadrunner, and it is so devious. The amount of strategy that the coyote is able to bring into the fray is amazing, right? So yes, everyone would like to become a fox. Now, the fox has n number of ideas. Like the companies also during depression had n number of ideas. They used to do 1,000 things. But when the economy went down, everything went down because you have n number of ideas, but then you are not really good at every one of them. And if you're not good at them, trust me, when the push comes to shove, you will collapse. But in the hedgehog concept, the hedgehog always survives because it is able to do that one thing, and that one thing the best manner. It is able to do that in the best possible manner. The worst case scenario also, it is able to survive. So before we learn the Ikigai, we should understand your hedgehog. Let us all find, you as individuals, what are your hedgehog? What is your hedgehog factor, right? So I would request all of you to use your pen and paper. And there are 3 questions which are noted here. Now, all these questions can have multiple answers, right? I will assume that once I ask a question, you take a 2 to 3 minutes gap and write that thing down, right? So that I am aware as to what, you are able to move on or not, right? So 2 minutes gap after each question. So I just waiting for 5 to 10 seconds so that all of you can have a pen and paper with you. I hope just get it, grab any piece of paper will be fine. We need to have 2 to 3 pieces of paper so that we can go through all the exercises. Brilliant, I hope. Now, moving on. The hedgehog concept. So let us all find the hedgehog factor in you, right? Now, this factor is the factor which you will always hold near and dear to you. If you have not discovered it yet, this is the right time for you to discover it. So in spite of the biggest challenges that you face, the economy going down, joblessness, career disparity, whatever happens to you, this hedgehog concept will ensure that you sail through, right? So the first question that you need to answer for yourself, there can be multiple answers to this, what you are deeply passionate about. So I will help you out. I will share my answers so that you understand how to find the hedgehog concept, right? The first question is, what are you deeply passionate about? So I, as an individual, I'm deeply passionate about sharing ideas. The most complicated ideas which are there around, I like to make them very short, simple, and share it with audiences. And that is something which I've realized is my deep passion. I love talking to people. I love sharing knowledge to people. So that is something which I'm deeply passionate about. That is one. The second thing, so people can have one deep passion. People can have more than one deep passions also, right? You can be passionate about much more than one thing, right? Please do not write that you're passionate about your spouse. That is not the passion I'm talking about, right? Love is something else. So even though the heart symbol is drawn there, so let us focus on something else. So what you're deeply passionate about? I am deeply passionate about talking and sharing ideas, right? The second thing which I am passionate about is I'm passionate about food. I love cooking. I love cooking. I love sharing food. I love sharing a meal. I love to watch it when people eat. It can be a fetish, in fact. But I love the fact when people eat, I love the way they smile when their hunger goes away. That's something which I'm deeply passionate about. So 2 things which I'm deeply passionate about. You can have more than those 2 things also, right? So I'll just wait for a couple of more seconds so that we can move on to the second question. So this is the entire thing is based on the Venn diagram concept. So you are supposed to basically jot down things, all these questions, and when the point where these 3 Venn diagrams intersect is your hedgehog concept, right? Now, moving on to the second question, what drives your economic engine? Now, there's no connection with passion here. What drives your economic engine? So how do you make money. What is helping you to make money? For me, I have my own integrated facility management services company. I am a trainer. I have my own cafes. I do a lot of corporate learning and development programs. So that is what drives my economic engine. The 4 things are there. So I am listing those 4 things down. So we have done what you're deeply passionate about. You've jotted that down, I'm assuming. Number 2, what drives your economic engine? It can be anything. You probably are working somewhere. You can say that this is what drives my economic engine, right? You are doing something else. You have a side business. You are into trading. You do intraday stock markets, whatever it is. Whatever drives your economic engine. So I do not do intraday. I'm like very bad at it. Lost a lot of money. So yeah. So what drives your economic engine? For me, as I said, I have my own IFMS company. I have my own learning and development, training and development company. I am working with the NSDC. I am a trainer. I am a narrator. And now I'm an author. So there are so many things which drive my economic engine. So you can also do that. So the question number 2 is done. I'm assuming, right? And now we go to the question number 3. As per you, what do you feel you can be the best in the world at? As per you, what do you feel you can be the best in the world at? So there must be something, right? You must be really good at one specific thing that you feel that I am good at it. So I really feel that I am an amazing storyteller. I can be the best storyteller around. I really feel I can explain the most complicated concepts in the best possible and the easiest manner. And I am really good at it. I feel that these 2 things I'm really good at. Plus, I'm a big time foodie. I feel that I can cook the most interesting dishes and make people eat them, but that might be wrong. I just something that I feel maybe wrong. I'm sure my wife will protest with the fact. She may not agree. But as I said, so what can you be the best at the world? So we have 3 questions here done. What you are deeply passionate about, you've listed down things, 2, 3, 4, 5, it can be anything. Number 2, what drives your economic engine? I have listed out 4 things. You can list down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, quite n number of things. And the third most important question, what you can be best in the world at? So you can list down 4, 5, 6, 7, or 1 thing, whatever it is. You can list down everything. So for me, I have listed on 3 things. Now, what you need to do is you need to find that 1 or 2 common factors which are common in all the 3 diagrams, right? So that 1 or 2 common things which you'll be able to find in all the diagrams becomes your hedgehog concept. Now this is the concept that is your hedgehog. So just like a hedgehog has thorns, thorns which people or when animals attack it, it's able to get those thorns out and able to survive those extringent situations. Similar to that, this is your hedgehog concept which will allow you to sail through even worst case situations like a depression, like any sort of ailment, career going down, taking a deep dive into the water, whatever it is. So all these things will be able to get through by merely following your hedgehog. So this is your hedgehog concept. So I'm assuming that we are all through with the hedgehog concept, right? Now, moving on. Now, this hedgehog concept is very important to find your ikigai. Now, why is it very important to find your ikigai? Is because now you have found your hedgehog. It is very easy now to find your ikigai, because ikigai is a slightly more complicated concept than hedgehog. It will ask you more questions, but you will be able to drive in a point which will help you focus on your ikigai and find what you are really good at so that you don't get lost. Now, a biggest part of this session is this exercise on finding your ikigai. It's a big worksheet. We need to really work hard at it. So let us all focus at the worksheet. Now that worksheet will basically have 4 typical questions. So let me explain these 4 typical questions so that you don't get confused. The 4 typical questions which will be asked in the ikigai, the session of ikigai are passion, mission, profession, and vocation. Like 4 things, right? These 4 things are extraordinarily important. Now you have to understand there's a difference between a passion, there's a difference between mission and profession and vocation, right? Now, if you're not aware of the difference, then this will be able to put those things in the specific bracket, right? Vocation and profession, even though they sound very similar, they have iota of a difference, a huge gap between both of them. And this is what you need to understand while focusing on the concept of Ikigai, right? Now, if you see this very complicated figure which has popped up in front of you. Now, what you need to do is if you see see this figure, there is the columns on the outside are numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. It is clockwise. So 1, 2, 3, 4. First, we will answer those questions, and then I'll take you through the passion, mission, profession, vocation part of it. Then we will find your Ikigai. And at the end of this session, you would have all discovered your Ikigai. Amazing. When GSCS is good, they're doing such a nice thing for all of you. They're helping you find your Ikigai. Kudos to them. So now, coming at it, let's find your Ikigai. All of you are ready. I hope you have your pen and paper, right? We will start off with the first thing. What are you good at? Whatever you're good at. You're good at probably presentations. You're good at sharing things. You're good at admin job. You're good at finding the best cost-effective, agency, service provider. Whatever you're good at. List everything down. List those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It can be any number of things. List down whatever you're good at. And this need not be related only to your career. It can be related to your life also, right? Like, let's be very clear. So I am really good at maintaining friends. It can be that. I don't mind. You can put that also as the answer to this question. Doesn't make any difference. So I'll give you like 2 minutes times to fill this up. I hope there are no queries in this case. You need to write what you are good at. Whatever you are good at. 5 years ago, I used to write that I'm really good at eating. Can eat anything. Probably, enter into a session wherein there is a competition of eating the most numbers of vada pav, and probably I would have won it hands down. Now I can't. So anyhow, jokes apart, what are you good at, right? So that is the first question that you need to answer. I hope you've had enough time. Now we'll move on to question number 2. What do you love? What do you love? What do you feel that you have immense love for? Again, not your children, not your parents, not your spouse. It has to be something other than that. This cannot be personal. This question cannot be personal. So, what do you love? For me, I am a foodie. I love. But other than that, I love to talk. I love to share ideas. And I am a firm believer in karma. Bhagavad Gita says this, that if at all you focus a lot on the good that you do unto the world, eventually only good will be done unto you too. So I am a firm believer of karma. So I always feel that the more knowledge I share, the more I'll receive. And that has always been my experience. So I love to share my knowledge. I love to talk to people. I love to help people do things. Other than that, I love to run my cafes. I love to my restaurants. So yeah, what do you love? So you can write down that. What do you love? Moving on. Now we'll come to the question number 3. I hope I'm not going too fast. If you can use the chat box and ask me to slow down, if at all. Is the pace fine? Can someone use the chat box and respond? I hope I'm not going too fast.
Oh, I think it's fine for.
Perfect. Thanks, sir. Thank you. So great. So now, once we are done with what you love, let us go to what does the world need? Holistic picture. Okay, it's a big time scope that you say. What does the world need? आज की तारीख में इस दुनिया को क्या चाहिए? What does the world need? Yes, it needs the vaccine for corona. Let us not write that down. It will not help us find the Ikigai, right? Unless and until you're from the medical field and you've just found the vaccine. So what does the world need? As per you, for me, I feel, and now this has to be connected to 1 and 2. It cannot be random. You cannot just randomly put what does the world need. So I feel that I'm a South Indian. I'm from Kerala. I love the fact that Malayali cuisine is there around, but I feel that the authenticity is not. And I would love to set up something wherein I can share the authentic Kerala cuisine to people and people actually enjoy and cherish it. We have these thali restaurants in Gujarat. I feel like we should have a Kerala thali restaurants also. So I feel that's what the world needs. And this is my perspective. And I also feel that the world needs a trainer, someone who can actually explain to them the most complicated things in the easiest manner. And that is what I feel the world needs. So this is my perspective. What is yours? So what does the world need as per you? Now we have done 1, we have done 2, and we have done 3 now. Now understand, 3 is connected to 2, 2 is connected to 1. 1, 2, 3 are always interconnected. So the questions when you answer, remember, do not randomly answer. Do not say that the world needs a leader like Narendra Modi. If at all you have not written, I love Narendra Modi and I'm good at politics as your 1 and 2 answer, right? Politics and cricket sells the best amongst Indians. The easiest examples to share, I'm sure. Anyhow, so I hope you are done with the question number 3. Now we'll move on to the question number 4. What can you be paid for? Now we have done 1, we have done 2, we have done 3, and now we are coming to 4. Out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, what you're good at, what you love, what the world needs, can you be paid for? So I feel I can be paid for running my cafes. I can be paid for running my FMS company. I can be paid for being a trainer. I'm already paid for being an author. So yeah, I think I have 4 things which I have written down in this thing. In this column, I have 4 things which I've written down. Similar to that, what are the things that you feel that you can be paid for? Done? Through. So now we are done with question number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we are through with 4 questions and we have found what you are good at. We have found what you love. We have found what does the world need, and we have found what you can be paid for. Now we'll come to the inside circle, the inside 4 circles, right? The first thing that you see is passion. Now passion, remember the Venn diagram concept. Venn diagram intersects and that intersecting point will be passion. So in column number 1 and column number 2, whatever things are common in 1 and 2 will come in your passion. So for example, what you're good at, for me, I feel that I'm a really good storyteller. I talk a lot. I am really good foodie. So I feel that these 2 things I'm good at. And what do you love? I love to talk. I love to talk to people, share knowledge. I love to cook. So these 2 things will combine and become my passion. So similar to that, you also have to find an intersecting point between 1 and 2 and find your passion. So find the common things. It can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 3, it can be 4, it can be 5, but it cannot be nothing. Because if it's nothing, then you have to really think what you answered in the question number 1 and 2. Is it right or wrong? And if it is seriously you feel that you've answered it correctly and yet you are unable to find it, then we need to work on it, right? So passion done. Now we'll go to the second one, that is mission. Now mission is an intersection of column number 2 and 3. So what does the world need? Question number 2 and 3, you have to intersect, whatever points intersect there, you have to write that down. I feel that the world needs someone who can explain the most complicated concepts in the easiest manner. And that is what I feel that the world needs. And that is something which I love also, that those 2 things intersect and that becomes my mission. Right? So done with mission, I presume. Whatever intersects in column number 2 and 3 will come in mission. Now let us go to profession, not vocation, profession. In profession, we have to understand whatever mixes from column number 1 and 4. So what you are good at, what can I be paid for? I am not going clockwise. I've just skipped vocation to profession. I'll tell you why. It's supposed to be clockwise, but I've skipped vocation. We'll come back to vocation. So profession, what you're good at and what you can be paid for. Find the intersecting points there and jot that down in the session. Now, once this session is over, I'll assure you that all of you, I'll share worksheets to you, and you can, use this exercise for your own self. Write down in the same chart the worksheet. I'll mail across to GACS guys, and they'll share it with you. So, what you're good at and what can you be paid for? Write down in the profession column. Right? Done. How many of you are actually in the profession that you are, this chart puts you at? Usually I feel it's 50-50 a lot of times. Anyhow, this is, we'll talk about this later. Now let us come to vocation. Now what can you be paid for and what does the world need? Done. So you have to find the intersecting points between what you can be paid for and what does the world need. Great. Have we been all able to find the vocation? So we are done with passion, mission, vocation, and profession. 4 things. Intersecting points between 1 and 2 becomes passion. Intersecting points between 2 and 3 becomes mission. Intersecting points between 1 and 4 becomes profession. And intersecting points between 3 and 4 becomes vocation. Clear? Now, the most important thing. What are the intersecting points between 1, 2, 3 and 4? So out of 1, 2, 3 and 4, whatever is your intersecting point is your ikigai. For me, I have realized my ikigai is training. The reason for me to live is to share knowledge. I am an educationist. I love sharing knowledge, and that is one of the most important things in my life. Every day I strive for it. You can go through my LinkedIn, you can go through my FB, my Twitter, my Instagram, my website, everywhere I'll be sharing knowledge because I feel I really love doing that, and that is something which keeps me going. And food, obviously. So that is my ikigai. Similar to that, what is the common point amongst passion, mission, vocation, and profession for you? Shall become your ikigai. I hope all of you have been able to narrow it down to a minimum of 1. Maximum can be more than 1. Do not worry if you have like more than 3, 4. Some people have 8, 9 also. I did an exercise with ONGC wherein I had people who had 11 ikigais. Good, confused, doesn't happen. But great, brilliant. So we have found our ikigai. Now, the question which I want to ask all of you, are you actually following your ikigai while you're working? Is your work and your ikigai matching? Is it? If it is not matching, my dear friends, let me tell you, you will be sad after some time. Right? And if it matches, voila, you are in an amazing field. You are doing that specific thing which you love. Right? And that is the best thing that can happen to you. Brilliant. And to those who are not, we should try to find it out for you. Right? Now that we have found our ikigai, the reason for us to live, the reason for us to survive, and how did this concept ikigai come? So there is this island in Japan, Okinawa, wherein people are living more than 100, 110 years. And they live with an amazing, agility. They live an amazing life. And the scientists are confused as to what exactly is happening, as to why they are able to survive for so long and so happily without having any disease, no obesity. Everything is perfectly fine and they have a huge community. The reason they found was that they all were following their ikigai. They had found their ikigai. They found their reason for living. There is no age for retirement. You can keep on doing the thing that you love till the time you take your last breath. You should be able to find your correct ikigai. Else, you will become a sad person once you touch 58, 60, or even earlier than that. Right? Moving on. Today, a lot of us would feel slightly lost. A lot of us would feel the fact that we have found our ikigai and how to amplify it. Now, finding an ikigai is one thing, but ensuring that you make the maximum out of it, is very tough. Like for example, that if you throw some seeds in the soil, that seeds will sprout into a plant, and that plant will bear fruits which will help you. But how do you amplify that? How do you ensure that those fruits become more than what you're receiving and they try to give you the maximum benefit? And that is what we are going to learn today, how you can amplify your ikigai, right? Now, the most important thing, a lot of times we ask ourselves, what is success? What exactly is a successful individual? Who becomes a successful person? And a lot of times we equate it with the money that an individual earns. It is right and it is wrong. right? For the fact that currently the only scale that we have to judge a person's, an individual's success in life is equating it with money. And wrong with the fact that, does that mean that an individual who does not have money is not successful? The problem with today's world is that we equate success with what we have and what the other individual does not have. If I am happy, I'm happy because I have this phone and my friend does not have it. He cannot afford it, and I'm happy because I'm successful. I become suddenly sad because when I have this phone, someone else whom I know has a better phone than that. I'm like, oh, I'm sad now because that individual has a better phone. So we are equating our happiness, our success with comparisons to others. And that is the biggest problem, that we all have, because we equate our success with money and the happiness that we derive over the misery of others. Human beings are in a very bad situation, right? So I am very much equated with what Bob Dylan said. Bob Dylan said that what's money? And money is when a man gets up in the morning and goes in the bed at night, and in between does what he wants to do, and the money automatically trickles in. So you get up in the morning, go to work or do whatever you want to do, and come back a happy person, and your life is settled. You are still earning money, and that is what is success. But in today's world, that is not reality. In today's world, there are so many choices that we have. It's like a supermarket. When you enter, you have so many things that you can be a part of. The biggest problem here, the biggest that comes across is that how do you make the right choice? How do you ensure that you do not get into something which is not right for you? You have found your ikigai. It is more. It is the most important thing for you that you need to go ahead and maximize your ikigai. So let us do that. Let us try to help you amplify your ikigai. Now, for amplification of ikigai, I would like to share an interesting Japanese concept which I have a derivative trademark on, which is known as Fubutsushi. Now, we are all encountering rains, okay? It is raining everywhere across the country. Some places a lot, some places are less. But now when the first drop of rain hits the ground, there's a smell that hits us, right? And that smell is something which all of us will recollect. When we were small kids, that smell used to come and we're like, yay, in school it's raining, right? We probably are going in our rickshaws and we're going to enjoy the rain. Or probably the rains are going to be so good, like so heavy that there would be schools, right? So that smell takes us back to memories that we have, right? Now this thing that evokes a feeling, a sense of smell, or a sense of an event which evokes a feeling in your mind and takes you back ages, is known as Fubutsushi, right? Is known as Fubutsushi. Fubutsushi is also a Japanese concept, right? And that Japanese concept basically means the things, feelings, sense, images that evoke memories or anticipation of a particular season. Something that reminds you or makes you think of a particular season is known as Fubutsushi. Now, I want all of you to link your ikigai with Fubutsushi. So let's say, for example, my ikigai is training, right? I love to train. I love to talk to people. I have made that my Fubutsushi. How? Whenever I see an individual training, automatically this thought comes into my head that if I was training instead of him, I would have done this, I would have done that, I wouldn't have taken part of this, I would have probably done this in a different manner. So n number of thoughts. So automatically I put myself in that individual's shoes and try to recreate that image. So my ikigai automatically becomes my Fubutsushi. So my automatic brain thought is that अगर मैंने ये किया होता तो मैं क्या ऐसे करता? नहीं, I would have done this. If I go to a restaurant and someone orders a South Indian dish, when I have it and I feel like I probably would have used these spices on a lesser amount, I probably would have cooked it a bit more or probably a bit less. So automatically I'm putting myself in the chef's shoes because these are two of my ikigais. Now, if you want to amplify your ikigai, the only way you can do it is link your ikigai with your Fubutsushi. Right? Your brain with your heart. automatically your heart, which is your ikigai, should remind your brain that, good Lord, now this is what my ikigai is. Think. And the moment you start thinking about yourself in that individual, you will automatically start learning. Remember, we are all like sponges. You know, a sponge which is used to clean the surface, sponge automatically absorbs water. Our brains are similar to that. And the moment you acclimatize yourself and you get your ikigai and Fubutsushi connected, you will start learning like anything. You do not need to attend webinars. You do not need to read books. You will automatically start grasping knowledge and you will become a holistic individual. Now, that is how you can ensure that you amplify your ikigai. But how will you put your Fubutsushi into place? There are 5 steps, and let me be very clear. 5 steps. If you follow these 5 Ramban steps, you will be able to amplify your ikigai in the best possible manner. The first thing is, if it feels wrong, don't do it. Trust your intuition, your gut feeling. You know, you have your gut feeling. Inside your mind, you sometimes feel like, no, I don't think I should do this. I probably think this is the wrong thing for me to do, and you stop it. So if it feels wrong, straight away refuse to do that. That will help you ensure that you are able to amplify your ikigai. Number 2, the words you speak become the house you live in. Always remember that when you say something, follow it up properly. Do not write checks with your mouth that your body cannot encash. I repeat, do not write checks with your mouth that your body cannot encash. Do not overcommit. Never get into the habit of overcommitting. If you can do, say yes. If you can't do, stop it. Do not commit. So number 1, trust your intuition. If you feel it's wrong, don't do it. Number 2, the words you speak become the house you live in. Do not overcome it. Number 3, never speak bad about yourself. You're always listening. I mean, you must have seen this sports person, no? When they are probably running, the athletes, they always tell themselves, yes, you can do it. Yes, you can do it. Go for it. Go for it. Whom do you think they're talking to? They're talking to themselves. They're egging themselves on. Why? Because when you talk to yourself, you are listening. And when you talk bad about yourself also, you are listening. You're taking cognizance of the fact that you are saying, Sheetal, you can't do this. Yaar, mujhse nahi ho payega. Yaar, I cannot not, eat 5 rotis. I cannot eat 1 roti, 2 roti. I have to have 5 rotis. I cannot finish the deadline. I mean, the boss wants me to finish the presentation by the end of the day. It's a Saturday. I want to chill. I want to party. Not possible. When you say these things, you're actually programming your brain to not work. Rather, program your brain to work. Remember, the brain is like a computer. And what is a computer? Computer is an idiot box. When you enter something, the output is exactly what you enter. If you enter some gibberish, the output is not going to be good. Even if you buy an Apple, a Mac, or I don't know, whatever the most expensive laptop in the world is, what you enter is what exits. Similarly, program your brain, control it, tell that it can do things. Today, I have done 2 sessions already. I had a session at 6 in the morning with someone abroad. I had another session at 9 in the morning, and I have session right now. Then I have another session second half today. I am going to be swamped, but never once did I say, no, I don't think I can do it. I will do it, because if I tell myself I can do, I will do. Right? So always remember, never speak bad about yourself. You are always listening. So 3 things done. Now going to the 4th thing. Right? Never give up on your dream. Map out a path and make it real. When you were a small kid, probably in school, you had a dream, right? You wanted to do this. So when I was probably in my 12th standard, I wanted to become an author because I was extraordinarily influenced by Charles Dickens. Tale of Two Cities, David Copperfield, loved it and wanted to become an author. I never gave up on my dream. I'm 34 today and I have 7 books in my bed. I never gave up on it. My career, my PhD, my law, my Harvard, my John Hopkins, my psychology, everything happened. But along with all that, I never gave up on my dream of becoming an author. Do not give up on your dream. Map out a path and make it real. Ensure that whatever work you do, Do not think that you cannot do do not achieve your dream. It is possible. Do not get lost in trying to make money and trying to live for others. हमारी जिंदगी हम अमूमन दूसरों के लिए गुजारते हैं. We live for others. We have forgotten to live for ourselves. Do not do that. The moment you do that, you are cheating yourself. And the moment you do that, you will become a hollow person. And no one should become a hollow person. So, never give up on your dream. Right? Map out a path and make it real. Number 5, and the most important path or the point for amplification of Ikigai is be selfish. Be extraordinarily selfish. If you do not think about yourself and you keep on thinking about others, contrary to what you think, you are doing disservice to them. Because if you are at a position, you are good, you are successful, you are happy, can you make someone else happy? You being sad and making someone else happy is not going to help that individual. That individual is going to run away from you because you will become a very bad person. Remember when we sit in the airplane, the air hostess, the pretty ones that come, they say that when the air mask falls down, the oxygen mask falls down, first breathe into the mask yourself and then help others. She is also smart. She is also a trainer. Why can't you? So remember, similar to that, first help yourself, love yourself, control your own self, and be aware of what you're good at and what your likes and dislikes are. These 5 points will help you amplify your Ikigai to the highest extent, right? So 5 points of application of Ikigai. Today is an amazing day for you because we have done 2 things. We have found 1, we have found your Ikigai, and number 2, we have been able to amplify your Ikigai. And the day you decide to follow Ikigai is your lucky day. Weekend hai, enjoy yourself, take a break, think about what we have done today and see if you can actually put this into practice. Trust me, you can, I have, you too can. If I can, you can. Anyone can, right? So try to follow Ikigai and amplify it, right? So with this, I bring the session to an end and I'm up for questions. Back to the admin and questions. If at all there are any, I'm happy to answer. Admin? Is everyone busy trying to find their Ikigai now?
Jagannath, can you take this over, please? Okay. Sure.
Wonderful session, Sheetal.
Thank you.
I mean, everybody is here right now thinking about their own Ikigai, I guess, and amazing insight. Yeah, amazing insight.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody has any questions, then you can put it forward on the chat box and we can take it.
So yeah, other than this, the thing is that I shall be sharing a worksheet for all of you. So it can be shared with everyone and they can probably, go through it and try to find your own Ikigai. You can help others also. And I'm always reachable. You can connect with me.
Sure.
And if at all there are any queries, I can answer that.
Right. So, any questions, anybody? If everybody doesn't have, I have one question.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, we were talking about Fubutsushi, right? Now, how do you actually find that? I mean, I understand that the technical term I understood, but how actually you find that for yourself? Like,
so I'll tell you what. First and foremost, you have to find your Ikigai. If you have found your Ikigai, let's say for example, I have to give my example. So I'll tell you what my Ikigai. I have 3 Ikigais, but I'll share one with you. The Ikigai that we have is that I am really happy when I train people, when I share knowledge, and that keeps me going. Now I have found that Ikigai. Now that Ikigai needs to be linked to the Fubutsushi. Fubutsushi is nothing, as I said, it's an evoke. So when people start training, when you listen to other trainers, when you listen to other speakers, automatically that Ikigai becomes your Fubutsushi. You have to link it with that individual. So you have to think about yourself in that person's place. And if I had been there, what would I have done? Now, the moment you put yourself in that individual shoes, दो चीजें होंगी. There will be two things which will happen. One, you will start comparing. Human beings, human tendency, we start comparing. And in comparison, we'll try to find out what is good in that individual and what is good in you, and what is bad in that individual and what is bad in you. And the best thing in Fubutsushi is you will grab all the good things. See, for example, if that individual has better examples than what I have, I will say, yes, I probably should have given this example. I'll think about it. And automatically your brain starts mapping it. You do not need to write it down. The best part is you don't even need to write it down, right? You just automatically, your brain is an amazing super computer. It will automatically start grasping it, and you will start sharing the same example the next time you talk. So that is what how you link your Ikigai and find your Fubutsushi. It has to happen in a very organic manner.
Okay, thank you. Just a minute, we've got some questions here.
Finally, good.
Wait. My screen is little nasty right now. Hold on.
Jigna, hi, Vikram here.
Can you take, because my screen is just not moving?
Yeah, I can sense that. So, Dr. Sheetal, a question from one of our friend Gaurav is that how can you be selfish with your dear one, that is your friends and family?
Now, when I say selfish, I'll tell you. I mean, it's very natural. No? When we hear the word selfish, and we like, oh, selfish. He's a selfish person. So, selfish has that negative accreditation to it. You know, when we say like Indian cricket team, automatically you success. They're doing really good. Kohli images come into my mind. So, the moment automatically we talk about selfish, and you think, oh, negative. An individual who is selfish is not a good individual, but that is not the case. When I say selfish, what I'm trying to say here is that you put your needs first. I'll give you a very simple example. I am a father of a young kid who is 4 now. And when I become selfish to him, what I am trying to say here is that I should be strong enough so that I can support him in the future. How will I do that? I will do that by first taking care of my needs. If at all I have a need to get better in life, I'll try to focus on that. I'll become selfish. I'll focus on my. The moment I become a good, automatically I shall be able to support my child in a better manner, right? Now that is selfishness. How you can be selfish to your friends and family is purely the fact that you have to focus on your needs, yourself, make yourself better, and then try to help out your friends and family. So that is what selfish means. It doesn't mean that you're taking away something that the individual deserves. It's not like you're taking away a morsel of food from your friend's plate because you're hungry. Not that way. So let us not construe it as a very negative thing, right?
Great. Yeah.
Gaurav has again written a question. Being a parent, you have to fulfill the family needs first and then yours, isn't it? Yes, Gaurav, but imagine this. If your family needs medicines and you are also sick, would you actually get medicines for your family first? Yes, you would. But then imagine the next time they need medicines, you are sick. You will never be able to help them. What will you do? So you also have to ensure that you sustain. Na? This is what happens with everyone, Gaurav. This is a very common thing with every individual. We only put our family first. But the family needs you. Family has to have the biggest foundation is you. If you're becoming like empty, you're becoming very weak by supporting the family, doesn't make any sense. So if you are not able to support them in the future, how will you help them? That is absolutely not useful. Right? Oh, great. Lovely.
Yeah, there's one question from Jaya also.
Okay.
Okay. She's saying, what if you are not fond of talking, broadcasting, and once our passion and purpose found, we are unable to inform the world? What does Ikigai have to say for that?
I am not able to exactly put my finger on the question, but what
can we have Jaya to ask, or
yeah, I'll open it for Jaya. Just a minute.
Yeah.
So I have Jayaji, can you unmute? I've just unmuted from my end. If you, yeah.
Sure. Thanks. I have unmuted myself. Thank you. And Dr. Sheetal, that was a wonderful session. My question coming to it very pointedly is that a lot of people are very reserved and they do find their ikigai, yet they are not able to make it big. What stops them and what is it that hinders them?
So let's say you find your ikigai. Why do you need to make it big? Ikigai is basically something which should be your reason for living. You need not make it big. It should just make you happy. See, the problem here is that we always construe that if at all we have found a treasure, we have to multiply it and magnify it to n number of times. And we have to tom-tom it to the world that, this is what I have done. The fact is, first and foremost, when you find your ikigai, you need to be happy with that and you need to live with that. And the moment you start living the way you live, automatically fame will come to you. I know it sounds very theoretical and it sounds very fundamentally something which should not happen, because our world is very, man eat mad, dog eat dog sort of a world. It will not happen very organically is what people will tell you. But trust me, there is no shortcut to success. If you find your ikigai, if you are able to follow it, it will come to you. It will automatically, people will start recognizing you. I did my PhD in 2013. This is 7 years ago. And I am one of the only individuals across the country to have done a PhD in training and development. Yet, whenever I used to go to clients and tell them that I need to have a corporate training sessions, like, what do you have that other trainers don't have? I was like, I have done a PhD in T&D. I can be the best solution that you have. Yet, I never used to get it. It took me a crazy amount of time, so many failures, so many rejections. And today, I have a brand equity of my own self. It has taken time. So I initially had to make peace with myself. I found my ikigai. I need to follow a path and automatically people will follow you. People will look out for you. And that is what I firmly believe. And it has worked for me. And I personally feel agar mujh pe hua hai, so I'm sure others will also be able to make benefit out of it. I hope, Jayaji, I've been able to answer your query the best possible manner I can.
We have one more question from Mr. Surendra Bish. Can we do a training to be a coach and follow the same in your life? Coaching not for earning, but for reason to live.
Yes, why not? Why not? I would always suggest people who are interested in getting into these sort of things, they should get an NLP done for themselves. That is neuro-linguistic programming session. You can ensure that you become a wellness coach. You can undergo sessions for that. A lot of times there is a lot of self-discovery that is, you can find by, undergoing coaching like this. If you are fond of Vipassana, you can undergo Vipassana sessions. There is a lot of self-discovery. I'll tell you what, in a day, we know our parents are alive, our children are there, we have friends there. How many times do you remind yourself that you're alive? Ab main sawal puchunga to people like, why do I need to remind myself I'm alive? I am alive. But you need to remind yourself that you're alive, that you're a live person. And how do you do that? Take a breath, take a deep breath, 3 deep breaths every hour, and automatically you'll realize that, oh God, I am alive too. I also have needs. Why should I think of everything around me? First, I should focus on making myself a very positive person. So coaching will help you also not just become a coach, but also self-discovery. So yes, Surendra ji, I mean, that's a very good thought that you have had. You should do it. Any other questions?
Yes, there's one more from Sushma Patil. Generally, we overcome it due to our passion. So where do we draw that line between commitment and overcommitment? Probably that would help us to have a more balanced life. I mean, absolutely apt question. Sometimes you don't know what is the line.
It's a very thin line. I mean, I'll tell you what, when we go for a buffet, there's a crazy amount of food which is laid out, right? And we plan, right? I plan. So I love appetizers and desserts. So I plan that I'll have appetizers pele and then I'll go for desserts. I'll probably skip the main course altogether. I have a plan and I have committed myself to the plan. Now, when I'm eating my desserts, I suddenly realize that I'm full. So do I stop there, or just because I love it, I have more? If you are in a habit of having more, then you need to reorganize your thought process. You need to understand there is a very thin line between commitment and overcommitment in everything. You love your kid, you are very fond of your child, but your fondness of your child should not make your child a spoilt brat. Sometimes unconditional love, when it is showered more on a child, the child can turn out to be something very bad. So commitment and overcommitment is something, these two examples should be able to give you a clear idea how to define and stop yourself. Everything and anything that you do, you should ensure that you cross verify that. How will you do that? I'll tell you what I do. See, every day in the morning, irrespective of whatever happens to me, I wake up at 4:45. 5 o'clock, I am ready and getting onto my schedule, right? And I maintain a logbook of what I want to do in the day. And once I finish the day, I cross check with what exactly has happened in the day and how I've been able to achieve the targets and goals. Similar to that, if you are committed to a goal, if you're committed to a passion, you should maintain, try to analyze your own self. See, going to a third person, going to a practitioner, trying to get your life analyzed is very easy. You can pay money, get that done. But no one can analyze yourself better than yourself. खुद को खुद से ज्यादा कोई नहीं समझता है. Trust me, right? I know you also would agree to that. So always analyze your thoughts, your processes, and your actions, and on a daily basis. Sounds very cumbersome, but trust me, if you can have 3 meals a day, you can easily maintain a logbook. It is not tough. अगर आपको ये याद रहता है कि मुझे 3 बार खाना है, मुझे पानी पीना है, तो you can also maintain a logbook. I have been able to do that for the past 2.5 years, and I am what I am today because I analyze myself on a day-to-day basis. You too can. So this will help you. I hope Sushmaji's query has been resolved to a certain extent.
Yes. One more question, Sheetal. If a person is already following Ikigai, then what is the next for him or her?
Amplify it. Simple. Just amplify your Ikigai. If at all you have found your Ikigai and you are doing it like amazing thing. See, I'll tell you what, it took me some time. I'm sure you have been able to do that very well. But if you have found your Ikigai, focus on amplification. Focus on trying to make it better. See, you have found a diamond. You need to keep on polishing it. You need to keep on rubbing it so that it shines more. There is never a point where you can say that I have found my Ikigai and I stopped. No, you can keep on amplifying it, get the most out of it. I found my calling few years ago. But after that, I have kept on amplifying it. I've tried to kept on working on it so that I have become what I have become today. So you should also not stop. Follow your Ikigai and keep on working on it. Right?
One question from me, Dr. Sheetal, is that if something that you have a calling for, which has nothing to do with profession or money, earning, nothing, but can that be your Ikigai?
Yeah, it can be. See, Ikigai need not be always equated with money. And I don't know how to give you an example, but let me give you something similar to that. See, I love talking and love talking to people, and I love educating. So when I joined this is my like second generation, my father's business, ex-serviceman. So security business is what it was. I became a trainer. I became a part of this company. And I wanted to talk to people. So people used to tell me, "Tujhe to baat karna pasand hai. How are you making money out of it? Doesn't make any sense." And trust me, at that point of level, I was not thinking about money also. Yes, today, my Ikigai is making me money. But at that point of time, it was more about reaching out to people and, making myself really happy. And you are in a very lucky phase. Today, the world has become so small. Instead of becoming big, it has become so small that your Ikigai may not be something that professionally makes you money right now, but you never know. It can become something in the future. Irrespective of that, do not let money be a part of your Ikigai. It should not affect it. Just be happy doing what you want in life and try to amplify it the most possible manner. And you will turn out to be a positive individual. Being a positive individual can obviously make you open for a plethora of opportunities, probably in your career, your life, so many things, right? So Ikigai need not be always equated with money. If it is equated with money, then it is good. If it is not, no worries. It will automatically generate spotlight for you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Sheetalji, one last question from my end. This is Vikram here. If one has found his or her ikigai and is not very successful, what could be the reason for that?
There are 2 to 3 reasons for that. The first reason might be probably that is not that individual's ikigai. He or she feels it's his ikigai, may not be the right thing. Number two, maybe he or she may not be following it properly to the core. See, to know that you have a skill set and to know how to use it in the best possible manner are two different things. I'll tell you what. As I said, I have my own IFMS company. When I go and talk to clients, they talk about HK, pantry, cafeteria, security, etc., etc. But I incorporate my ikigai in that. When they talk to me, they know that this is an individual who has an amazing idea in his brain. So eventually, the discussion prays away from what we went to something else. So that ability your ikigai should have. It should be able to outshone it. Now, if that is not happening for you or for anyone for that matter, then you need to go back to the drawing board, try to rework and try to analyze whether what you have found is right or not. Probably you need to dig deeper. You need to take a deep dive into the concept of ikigai, right? So like this Okinawa thing, wherein I talk about these Japanese centenarians who are 110, 115, I don't know what age they are. They have an amazing circle and they are not looking at making money out of their ikigai. For them, it is getting up in the morning, having a cup of tea with friends, going to their farms, creating their produce, coming back, eating and sleeping. So in reality, God has given us so much. Think about it. Why do you need so much money? Like, let's say Vikram sir, who is the most like richest person you can think of right now? Right now, Vikramji, any name, the most richest person.
I will think of Mukesh Ambani because I want to
Brilliant.
be Indian.
So let us talk about Mukesh Ambani. Mukesh Ambani, Gujju guy, right? Mukesh Ambani's favorite food is khichdi kadi. Vikram sir, your favorite food is khichdi kadi. ऐसा सोचते हैं अपने. Now Mukesh Ambani sitting in Antili is having khichdi kadi, and you are sitting in your home in Ahmedabad and having khichdi kadi. But tell me, your khichdi and kadi is made of chane ke dal. His khichdi is also made of chane ke dal. फर्क क्या है? It is the same thing, na? There is no difference. He is not having khichdi made of gold, right? So it is like that. So you need to understand God has given you so much. What are you happy with? Is your ikigai able to maintain, give you your basic necessities? And if you are able to survive and getting your basic necessities, then you do not need anything else. Let us not compare our life with someone else, right? I hope, Vikram sir, I have been able to answer your query the best possible manner I have understood it.
Yes, you have. Jigna. Okay, I think Jigna is on mute. One another question from Sushma Patel is like, when one ikigai is to help others?
If your ikigai is to help others, then it's one of the most important and the best things that can happen to you. The joy that you get when you help a fellow human being cannot be compared with money at all. At all. If you're able to show someone the right path, if you're able to get someone from a very bad phase to right now, it's really good. I mean, not talking about this just because we have a major Indian celebrity who just committed suicide or whatever happened. The idea is there's so many people amongst us who are comparing themselves to people who are not comparable. I met a girl who was comparing her body to probably Kim Kardashian, which is not required. I went, why? Why? You're happy with what you have. God has given you a fit body. God has made you healthy. Think the fact that God has given you so much. And if you have an ikigai wherein you can actually turn the brains of that individual and make that individual more focused in life, if you can help someone, there is nothing better than that. Your life is happy. The happiness that you get when you earn a lakh, I mean, you might feel that I'm talking very stupid things, but the happiness that you get when you earn a lakh cannot be compared with the happiness that you when you actually help 10 people. And those 10 people come and tell you that, sir, thank you. My life has changed because of it. Nothing can compare that. Anything else? Radio silence?
No, we are here only. We can't, like we are just getting in. We are remembering that have we really found our ikigai or not? Like maybe many could have not thought of that. There's another question from Rahul. If one has found ikigai, not successful, what to do?
Sorry, I didn't catch that. If you have found your ikigai, that ikigai is not successful, or you're not found your ikigai. Oh, I didn't understand. Is
Not a
that what
success, not found a successful ikigai.
if you have not been able to find your ikigai, well, I mean, the worksheet I'll share it with you. You can just go through the entire thing. You'll have to sit and think about it. See, a lot of times, हमारे दिमाग में ना thoughts overlap. So sometimes we feel that we are good at something, and we think that this is what I'm passionate about. But that may not be the reality of things. So a lot of times, when your parents, your peers pressurize you to get into something. You buy a mobile phone because your friend has bought it and he says that it's good. You may not be really the one who may be needing it. So ikigai is also like that. You have to be really calm. You have to really be quiet and think, is something like this actually making you happy? Is this what you're passionate about? In reality, is this something that is something that you feel that the world needs and you're good at it? So once you're able to answer these questions in reality, I don't think you'll not be able to find your ikigai. You will be able to find. But in spite of that, if you are not able to find it, I am always reachable. You can connect with me and I'll help you find your ikigai.
I think you have answered Rahul's questions. I think he will be more than happy and will be looking for a correct ikigai.
Sorry, I didn't catch you, sir.
No, I'm just telling Rahul would have got his answer. This was a question
Okay.
from him. Another question is from Pavitra Venkatesh. Can you tell us another story about success of ikigai, like a story which will help us to remember better, like the first Meenakka story?
Yeah, Pavitra. I mean, I'll want to tell a story. I'll tell you my experience. The Vikram sir is slightly aware of it, but I'll explain to you. I think in the beginning itself I shared something, right? So as a trainer, the most important thing that you have to be is when you train someone, you have to be a role model for people to follow, right? As a trainer, you're a role model. People are looking at you like, yes, I want to be like him or I want to be like her, so that whatever concepts that you're pitching are absorbed in a better manner, right? So I used to be extraordinarily unfit. I was an obese category 2, 121 kilos, right? And in that 121 kilos, I really realized that I don't think I can lose weight. I've been overweight throughout my life, like from childhood itself. And I had this thing that I could not stop myself from overeating, or getting into food a lot. Now this was the time when I met a very what do you call, I can't even tell you, an individual who changed my life, Acharya Ratan Das from ISKCON. So I was sharing we were sitting in the airport lounge and we were talking, and while we were talking, he was telling me about the concepts of Bhagavad Gita. So ISKCON talks a lot about Bhagavad Gita, and he told me this thing, the fact that, why are you alive? If you're able to find that one specific reason or one specific thing why you're alive, you will be able to achieve anything in life, right? And then I went back to my drawing board, and the most important thing I thought about is to why am I alive? Why am I living? What is the reason that I'm supposed to live? Making money, probably becoming a success, supporting my family, making them do good. But this all was for someone else. What was for me? मेरे लिए तो क्या था? So biggest challenges that I had was I was not fit. I was not really, I had diseases capping me. I had spinal back pain, spine issues, bent L3, L4, so many problems in my life, right? And then I realized that I should do something for my own self. I should try to find a focused reason for living. And the focused reason for living that I found was I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to share my knowledge with people. I wanted people to listen to me. I wanted people to hear me out. You would not listen to me, Pavitra, if I am a very weirdly looking individual who is extraordinarily obese and I talk to you about Ikigai. You would not. You would not talk to me about, I would not be able to talk to you about Ikigai if I was still, someone who was not successful with following Ikigai. And that helped me drop from 121 to 80 today. And this transition has happened in the past 2 years. I've lost 41 kilos without doing any crash diet, without doing anything extraordinary, not going for gymming, just focusing on my own self, focusing on my own life, focusing on my Ikigai, which is to inspire others. In trying to inspire others, I inspired my own self. So yeah, this is my own personal story, which I'm sharing with you, Pavitra. I hope you may be able to recollect and remember this. Back to you, Vikram sir, or Jigna. I don't know. who is there?
Yeah, I am here. There is, I think, Doctor like Pavitra is. Yeah, he says that a personal story makes it real and doable. Like everyone can relate to that. So, one other question or a thing from Surrender based. Successful will have many meanings, like a 45 lakh package or a 25 package, but staying with family and enjoying life. During COVID, somehow we realized the meaning of life. Is ikigai means success only or happiness within?
Sorry, I didn't catch you. I didn't catch you. Nothing
So,
was
yeah,
audible.
so during COVID, we realized meaning of life. Is ikigai means success only or happiness within?
Ikigai means everything. Ikigai means success. Ikigai means happiness. Ikigai means the entirety. The ikigai basically means that you as an individual are happy inside your own life. You are a very happy person. You may be successful, you may not be successful. Success is not defined. Happiness cannot be defined by your success. It is the other way around. Your happiness should define your success. Your success cannot define your happiness. I hope you understand. It's a plain words, very simple, but you should be happy, and that happiness will define the fact that you are successful.
I think people are clear, and I don't see any more questions over here. So, Dr. Sheetal Nair, what a session it was. Means trust me, I think major of us who have attended this would be looking out for the correct ikigai and really get a meaning of life and feel energetic. So it was really a wonderful session during the stress of COVID-19, wherein people had some or other thing which was bothering them around. And whatever you have spoken, like every word has a meaning of it, and we are surely going to dig into it and find our real ikigai. And next, we're going to amplify our ikigai. So, on behalf of GS Gujarat chapter, GACS India, we are really thankful from bottom of our heart that you really took out the time from your schedule and enlighten us about the ikigai and how to amplify that. So,
Thank you for having me here.
thanks a lot. So to all my friends, fraternity friends, before I say goodbye to everyone, like I would request everyone to visit GACS website. There are a lot of information. These webinars are available on YouTube. We are available on social media, so you can catch up whatever has been missed out, or if you want to have a refresher. And before I end, I say goodbye. Please tune in. We have another session in evening, which is at 6. I will share with you also, Dr. Sheetal. I would love if you can join that. It's of Brahma Rishi Patri ji giving a value on the meditation, the real or corrective way of meditation. So I will urge everyone, I will request everyone to again join a session at 6 p.m. And that's it from my end.